we gotta finish this story, brother,
We're
before we get
cheap,
off
coach. We're
here.
cheap.
Okay, so where were we? All right, so the game plan was I'm gonna hit. We're going for it. Like, I mean, I knew I needed to shoot probably one under coming in, and so we get there the next morning, and there's a little bit of wind helping, probably blowing 5 to 7, and I hit it like I wanted to. I hit it right at the green. It was one of those you hit a little high on the face, knuckleball, tee balls, and it's downwind, and so it's the wind's kind of pushing it down, and it just didn't cover. We found my ball. I probably missed covering this gunch by, I don't know, 2 yards, and so my ball is embedded in this penalty area, and I'm in mud because everything was kind of wet from all the rain that we had gotten previous day. And I'm sitting there looking at Anthony, and I'm like, all right, there's nowhere I can go. Like, I would have to go all the way back to the tee. And I'm like, I think I can get this ball out of here. And I'm on the side of this slope. I mean, it's a 15-foot drop off down to this creek. And so I've got my feet kind of dug into the mud. And I was like, you have to come down here and hand me this club. I couldn't move. I mean, because if I moved, I'm going to slide down this hill. And so, I mean, like, my feet are completely into this hillside. And hindsight's always 2020. I kind of defaulted to my 60 just to get the loft up. I mean, all I needed to do was hit this ball 15 feet. And I was on this upslope, and hindsight being 2020 is like my 55 or my 50 degree, even a pitching wedge. And so I hit this ball, and I almost get it out of this ditch. And then I'm in some tall grass, didn't get it out of the penalty area. So now I'm like, oh boy. Well, now that I've played the shot, I'm really kind of stuck at this point. And so I let the other guys kind of play up, and I was like, I've got to kind of figure out how I'm going to hit this ball because it's in tall grass. And so I chop down on this thing and get it out of the penalty area, and end up making, I think I made a triple. Um, and so at that point, I was like, okay, well, we got to go for broke. And let me back up and say that because of the rain delays, they weren't going to do their traditional. There's 312, and they cut. There's two different cuts. I think there's a cut to like top 70 in ties, and then there's another cut to top 50 in ties going into the fourth round. Top 20 get into the PGA Championship. Well, they had told us because of all the rain and all the things that they were just going to cut to top 70 in ties. And so I get done with the hole, and I'm like, that was a train wreck. Nothing I can do about it now. And we hit it pins. We didn't really short side ourselves, and we played good golf. I just couldn't get the ball in the hole. I just couldn't make enough birdies. The wind's blowing. It's probably blowing 15 to 20 at this point. And, the chain of events that led to that, go back and do it over again, I would have made a couple of different decisions. Some lines and some tees, I would have taken a little bit softer approach. But it was an awesome experience. The Preston Cole kid that I played with ended up qualifying for the PGA Championship. I don't know how well he played, but I gave it all I had. I made some mistakes, and I'll learn from it. Hopefully, we can go back next year. I hope it's there again. They usually kind of move them around, but now with Frisco and the kind of the PGA headquarters, maybe that'll be kind of the home. I feel like I know the golf courses well, and so to go back, I'll learn from the mistakes that I made on a couple holes and play them a little bit different. Awesome experience, something that I'll treasure for kind of the rest of my career. and hope to get back next year.
Yeah,
So
you got to get in there one year, man. You
I, you know,
gotta-
it's been, I guess I've been a PGA member for, I don't know, 15 years or so. And it's always been one of those things that kind of a bucket list that I want to do before I get too old and I can't play the game anymore is to play in a PGA championship. Um, yeah, it's funny, like talking to my members and, you know, they look at me as this really good player and there's a, there's a big sea out there. There's a whole bunch of guys that are a whole lot better than me. And, we kind of talk about it. And I'm like, look, if I could ever get in the PGA championship, it'd be the funnest 2 days of my life. I'm going to play Thursday. I'm going to play Friday, and then I'm going to drive home.
Hey,
Um,
listen, I just looked up the schedule. You're in Port St. Lucie next year.
oh, nice.
And then in 2029, you're in our backyard. It's at Congressional.
Hell
Oh
yeah.
well,
Come on
for
up,
the
John.
for the club pro for the qualifier.
Yeah. No, that's the I was just looking it up. Those are the future host sites for the PGA Professional Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah,
awesome. So
yeah.
so okay, that's good. So Port St. Lucie, I've played one of those golf courses over there, the Watermaker. I don't know where they're going to have it. I guess there's the Ryder and maybe the Die, but yeah, Congressional. So how would Congressional be in late April?
Well, first of all, it's different. They've taken a ton of trees out. Doesn't look anything like it did when Rory won in what, 11? Like
Mm-hmm.
everything's I mean, it's probably gonna be a little wet. Although it's been wet here, it's been more wet here in May than was in April. So
I mean,
I don't
would
know.
you would it be green at all?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. It'd be
but
green.
it could be cool.
Yeah.
It could probably be cool. I mean,
Yeah, if it's early
it's
April, it could be cool because like March is kind of iffy. We get like 50s and then we get cold weather and then we get sometimes like a little hit of 70. But like
Yeah,
you get mid-April, it's usually pretty good weather. You
yeah.
know.
I think they've kind of got that date locked down because so it's the way this deal for us has always been in the past because of the PGA Championship's always been later, right? So what we would do is we would qualify, and then you would have to sit around and wait like 7 months to then play in a PGA Championship. And so with them moving the PGA Championship to May, then we have our deal, what 3 weeks before,
Hmm.
and so then 3 weeks later, you play in it, and um, so yeah, that would be awesome to come up there.
Be a blast, man. Yeah, you're right in
Get
our
you
back
guys,
door, man.
we'll be here.
yeah, man, get you guys come out and get some
Mark will be
rally
your
caps
host
going.
family.
Oh, look, we absolutely
I'm sitting at the
we love a good host family because
I'm
those
sitting
hotel rooms are one is super expensive and they're not a whole lot of fun when it's you and your caddy looking at one another. So,
yeah, you and your caddy'd have the whole basement, man. I got my 12-foot bar down here. You have a good
uh,
time.
oh, look, and he loves some MLs, man. Look, I paid him in Miller Lite.
I'll stock
He's
them up for you. I'll get you some
look,
bourbon and some MLs.
look, he's the best. He's a dear friend, and we're playing the practice round. And of course, I didn't look at a whole lot of rules, but I wasn't going to drink beer while we were doing it. But man, he's over crushing beer in the practice round, toting my bag. He's sliding Miller Lights in my bag. Um, so yeah, look. He'd fit right in with you guys. So he probably is going to fire me and tell me he's too old to do it. But if we can get in up there, I'll talk you into it. We'll
I'll
get him
get
a push cart.
I'll get him a Cuba. I'll get him a Cuba Millers from Costco. He'll be good. He'll have a good weekend.
Absolutely. All right. So what's up with the golf games? Where are you guys at?
Man, that's just like last year I was making some strides, last time we talked and
Yeah.
we did our buddies trip this year down in Charleston, South Carolina. And I played some decent golf. I finally got under 10. I've been like kind of hovering around 10 index and then like towards like the end of the fall, I was like about an 8, 9 and playing a lot better golf. You're telling me like, be a little smarter on the course, club face, and that helped a lot. But now, with the two kids, that old
Yeah.
handicap has been crushing. But you just got to figure out. You got to help me get off the tee straight, man. I got some speed. I can putt, usually streaky. And Chris knows this too. Is like my two things is keeping my ball in play. Like I feel like if I could keep the ball in play, keep it in front of me, I'd play my best rounds of golf, obviously. But
So
the
so what's the ball doing off the tee?
So my miss usually is like a little push, like a little push cut, So I usually play for it, and but when I miss it, it's that little like buttony, wavy push cut. Um,
Yeah, so here's what happens. Okay, so that face gets open, right? So the ball's going to start where the face is pointed, right?
right.
And so what's going to happen with the driver is so that club face is a little open, whether it's from shaft lean or where you start cupping the wrist or whatever it is. All right, and you can send me some video. You've got my email or my cell. Send me some video. But so what gets a little scary is with an open face, right? And so subconsciously, like, okay, well, my miss is going to be a little right, so then I'm just going to aim a little more left, right?
Hmm.
So what happens is that target line is still there, right? Even though we're aiming left, and we're trying to substitute an open face by just aiming the body over there to the left, and we're just shifting our aim away from where we don't want our ball to really miss. You're just moving your path even more left,
Hmm.
right? So, like the worst shot you can hit is a cut across it. You swing across it like 4 or 5 to 6 degrees to the left with an open face. So
Hmm.
then it's going to start a little right and then just go right.
Hmm. Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
Right.
Yep.
sense.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I get it. Like we want our ball to go in play, right? So I'm very anti thinking about the mechanics and thinking about those kind of things while we're playing. But when you're practicing, you've got to have a target on the range and go, okay, my club face has got to be pointed. It's got to be lined up at impact at that target,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
Yep.
sense. Yeah.
And then and where it gets a little weird with the driver is I'm not saying everybody hits up on it, but like for me, I hit about 3 degrees up with a driver.
Hmm.
Well, for me to hit a straight shot or even a draw with the driver, because I kind of draw everything in the bag, kind of except for the driver. I kind of just play a little bit of a fade because my up is giving me my left. Because I'm swinging up on the ball,
Hmm.
right? At the moment of time in that arc, my club path is already moving to the left because I'm hitting up,
Hmm.
right? So I have to shift my aim 3 degrees more to the right. Now think about this at 285 yards, kind of what I carry my driver. I've got to I've got to shift a lot more to the right with my aim to offset the up,
Hmm.
right? So then the club face is going to feel even more closed because I'm aiming more to the right to offset the up. There's kind of a lot into it because it's pegged up and you're hitting up on it. But send me some video. I'd love to try to help you. The T-ball is so important because if you're punching all day and you're taking penalty shots because you're hitting in penalty areas, it's hard to score.
Right.
Right. So
Yep.
then you've got this like, well, do I hit my 3 wood? Do I hit a hybrid
Yeah,
or
that's
a
what I'm
full
going through. It's like
iron?
it's like I'm going through the bag. It's like, okay, like do I have a fairway finder with a 7 wood, or like what do I got to do? Because I can hit I got some pretty good speed and I can hit it far enough. And I'm just trying to like I just need to hit the ball like straight off the tee, but I'm still struggling with it.
Yeah. So the thing is we've got to be able to hit driver, but we got to hit it in the fairway because like
Hmm.
every time you miss a fairway, and I know that we're not playing PGA Tour golf courses or whatever, but you're also talking about the best players on the planet. So you know, for us on the tour, I think it's like a quarter of a shot, right? So every time they hit it in the rough, if you look at Scott Fawcett stuff, it's like a quarter of a shot, right? Well, yes, we're not playing PGA Tour golf courses, so the rough might not be that long, but we're also not PGA Tour players to be able to execute a shot from 160 yards out of the rough with a 9 iron and land it on the green within like 30 feet of the hole.
Right.
So, every time you miss a fairway, you've given away a quarter of a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, you miss you miss four fairways. Well, then in theory, over the long haul, you're giving up a shot. Right. And so it's so important that either we're picking the right club off the tee, which, 440-yard hole, you need to hit driver.
Right.
Right. I mean, 3 was just putting you so far back. Right. So we've got to find a way to get you in the fairway with a tee ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm a big proponent of not trying to work it one way or the other. Right. So if you feel comfortable hitting fades, just hit a fade. Just have the understanding of where the club face has to be pointed. If you're going
Mm-hmm.
to fade it, the club face has got to be a little closed.
Right.
Right. To the target line, because we want it to pull cut. We want it to start a little bit more to the left and then fade back to the center line. Right.
Yeah, that
And
makes
then be
sense. Yeah.
vice versa with a draw. Right. And you're sitting there going, well, John, you told me I have an open face. Your face has got to be open to the target line to hit a push draw because the ball's going to start where the face is pointed, right? So that's where golf gets really kind of difficult is if you want to draw it, yeah, that face has got to be open, but it's got to be close to the path at which you swing it on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So send me some video. I don't know. Do you have somebody you work with up there?
Yeah, I've been I usually like last year I worked with we had Erica Larkin on. I don't know if you know Erica. She's at Creighton Farms out
I've
she
heard the
coaches like
name.
she coaches Michael Brennan or did coach Michael Brennan, the Wake
Right.
Forest kid that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Larkin
he is
Groves.
really good. Yeah.
But yeah, see, so I need to get back in touch with her a little bit too. But yeah, man, I'll send you some videos because I got to get that face. It's just like the club face. That makes sense because like instead of just like changing my line off the tee, that makes sense to like, okay, no, change your face because it's going to come open anyways at impact rather than just changing my body, right? Because it's just
Yeah, it's kind of a cheat that in the grand scheme of things never going to help you,
mhm, right.
right? Because the more you aim left, the more you're pass left,
Mhm,
right? So I get it. When we got to hit a go-to shot for you, you're just going to aim down the left-hand side and just hit the little squeeze cut and just kind of hope we don't push it too far,
right.
right? But
Exactly.
when you practice, you've got to be dedicated with like, okay, where is my face pointed?
Mhm,
Like, so for you, when you're practicing, we've got some alignment rods on the ground, maybe even one vertical 20, 30 yards in front of us that's dead in line. That ball never needs to start right.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah, it
It's
makes
got to start a little left. Even if, like, I would tell you, like, hey, I want this ball to start straight or a little left and fall a little left. That would
mhm,
be kind of the opposite of kind of what you're currently doing.
right.
Right. Face
Exactly.
closed to the path instead of face being open to the path.
Mhm,
Just to find like some neutral ground where the ball's not going to curve very much and we can line up dead center, knowing that our natural dispersions, there's going to be some to the left and there's going to be some to the right.
right.
And we're just trying to find that 50-50 ground of being dead center of the fairway.
Mhm. Yeah, because I've
Right. Does that
noticed
make
too when
sense?
yeah, that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
like too when like I've changed the body too, John. I noticed like okay, yeah, occasionally I'll compensate for it. I'll wave it a little bit, and I get that little baby cut, and it works out right, like right side of the fairway. But then at some point I overcompensate, and that club face gets straight, and and you get that straight ball like liner right at the target where I aimed my body, right, like just straight down the left side and it puts me
Yeah.
like short and it kind of duck hooks a little bit left.
Yeah. So, without kind of seeing some video and obviously having some TrackMan numbers will be huge, but is it coming out low? Is it coming out high? Is there too much lean? Because the
Hmm.
more you lean the shaft, the more the face is going to be open.
Right.
You know, so there's a whole lot of variables in there that you kind of got to look at. But
Hmm.
yeah, the T ball is so important because it sets the whole hole up,
Hmm.
Yep.
right?
Yeah, because I've
Yeah. So
noticed
I
when I
mean,
play with Chris, Chris keeps the ball in play, and I noticed like his he knows where his ball is going to go off the tee, and if you miss, Chris, and correct me, but like if you miss, it's not bad. It's like it might trickle a little bit off to the right rough because you usually have that little cut, Chris, but it's pretty straight ball.
Yeah, my
Whereas mine,
missus,
it's like it's less predictable, so then it just
right.
runs me into trouble too much.
Yeah, my miss is more right. I'm not that not I mean, Mark is I wouldn't call you significantly longer off the tee, but that's my issue is having a consistent swing where I'm gonna just have if I can hit the ball 250, 260 off the tee, I'll be happy. My miss is if it's just it's and what you just said for me, I play a little fade, and if it overcuts a little bit for me, that's where usually I end up in trouble, or it just starts off right and keeps going right. So, but consistently for me, it's just me just getting to play more. If I play more, I'm fine. I just the job I have with the school system, you work till 5 o'clock, kind of
Right.
impacts things. So, but Mark and I will
Yeah.
we'll get out to the range and shoot you. We'll both send you some video at the same place.
I love it. Yeah, there's no substitute for the playing the game of the golf. Playing the game of golf. You go out there and beat balls, and I would say if you were going to go practice, let's say you could get out there once a week and go practice, and you could play once a week, right? Like let's say you can get away Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, and you're going to go play, but you can go practice maybe let's just say Wednesday evening, and
Mhm.
you can get an hour and a half in, right? T-ball, wedges, chip, putt. At the end of the day, like, are you really trying to make birdie with a 7-iron? No, you're just trying to hit it in the center of the green,
Right. Mhm.
Yep.
right?
Makes
Now,
sense. Yeah.
but when we hit a good tee ball on a 380-yard hole, right, and we've got 120 yards, and we've got somewhat of like a wedge in our hand, we need to be proficient hitting that within 20 feet of the hole,
Hmm.
right? And we just never need to three putt. Every time you three putt, you ought to look at it as you hit an out of bounds ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, and I play competitive rounds. I mean, I probably play, I don't know, 20 competitive rounds, maybe 25 competitive rounds a year anymore. And if I three putt, it's like me hitting a ball out of bounds. That's what it feels like to me,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
right? And so kind of break it down into little segments of, okay, I'm going to warm up. I'm going to hit, some wedges to warm up. I may hit a couple of 7-irons just to feel the center of the face. Nobody cares what you do with a 4-iron because it's a blend between a 7-iron and a driver anyway. So it doesn't matter. Dude, you don't even hit that club. It may be there when you go play and you have a 200-yard shot and you need to hit a 4-iron. T-balls, chip, putt, and wedges.
I like it. Yeah, because you get in that habit of just going through your whole bag. Whereas like, yeah, like you're saying, it's like you just got to be able to get it off the tee. You got to make sure you're going to hit your wedges right and your short game, and not three putt. That does make sense.
It's funny
Like
when I
why should I
well,
spend like an hour hitting my 5-iron, right? Like because I'm gonna maybe have
Yeah.
4 or 5 irons.
it's funny
Yeah,
what you just said is how I practice. Like I learned I always my wedges. I hit all my wedges for a significant amount of time. Then I'll go to like an 8, 7, 8, 9-iron. I'll hit a little bit of those, and then I might hit a 6. I might hit 1 or 2, 4 or 5 irons. Then I'll hit 3 woods, and then I'll hit driver. I'll hit probably 15, 20, 30 drivers.
right. So like wear marks on your clubs, right? So if we go look at your golf clubs right now, your wear marks are going to be 60-degree to like what? Maybe an 8-iron?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, how often are you hitting a 4, 5, or a 6-iron in a normal round of golf?
No, yeah, not many times. Yeah.
A couple. And on those holes are mainly par threes, and all you're trying to do is make a three anyway. I mean, how many times are you standing on a 180-yard par three going, yep, I'm going to birdie this.
Right.
Hold my beer, watch this. No, you're literally going, where's the water? Where's the pin? Okay, I'm going to hit this 40 feet, and I'm going to two putt.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not the mindset, then I don't know what y'all are doing.
No, that's
right.
I
mean, yeah, does that make sense? I mean,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so Yeah. So I would say, I would devote, 30 to 40% of your time T-ball and then chip putt and then hit some wedges.
Hmm.
Pitch and wedge down. So we all, we talked a lot about 150 and in, kind of being the bread and butter, right? So you got to get off the tee, whether that's 3-wood driver. It's got to go where you're looking, right? And then from 150 and in, how close can we get it to the fat side of the hole,
Hmm.
right? Can we get it to 15 feet from the fat side of the hole? That's a pretty good look,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
right?
Right, because you're giving
And
yourself
then
a decent opportunity at a bird, but then if you miss it and you two putt, you're fine. It's like
it's a tap. Yeah, if you
right.
miss, it's a tap in.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Literally, if you miss a 15-footer, you just walk up. You don't have to put your coin down. I remember Sewell, and it still resonates with me to this day. And I kind of dealt with a little bit of that in the Club Pro National Championship, where you hit a putt and let's say you leave it 3 feet short or you knock it 3 feet by. Well, that's not a 1 foot walk up tapping in, right? You got to put a mark on that.
Hmm.
When you go do that 13 times, you're mentally exhausted because that's another routine. That's another thought. You've got to read the putt. You can't just willy nilly just walk up and just hit it.
Right.
You've got to read that 3-footer and you got to go through that routine. Well, if you have to do that an additional 10, 11 times, you are running out of your energy because you only
Hmm.
start with X amount,
Yeah.
right? And so every time that you can, say you got 20 feet and it's literally within a foot of the hole and you can walk up one leg it, tap it in and move on, you're saving that energy, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's a thing. I've seen it coaching. I've dealt with it personally, you know, and I just don't think many people, especially amateurs, 8, 10, 12 handicaps really understand that, you know, the speed of the green and getting your ball to stop where you want it to stop, how important that is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a same thing. Like if you're hitting a pitching wedge from 130 yards, right? We have this dispersion on the green. Well, I look at that from a putting standpoint too. So like I want my dispersion to be dead center of the hole. So
Hmm.
some of those putts are going to be a little short, but then some of them are going to be a little long too. But I want my dispersion as close as I can get to the hole.
Hmm.
So then if I miss, it's a tap in.
Right. Just yeah, make it easier on yourself. Yeah, it's like, mm,
Yeah, like we've all heard this. Oh, I'm gonna hit a little harder and take the break out. Okay, so you're gonna make the hole smaller. It sounds great. All right, cool. Good luck with that.
then you run at six
Right? I
foot
mean,
high, and then you got
right. I mean, like Jeff Mangum did this whole deal on like the capture width of a hole, and he's got it down to a science. Like for every revolution the ball goes by, you shrink the hole like 8% or 9% or maybe 10%. And the revolution of a golf ball is basically the length of a dollar bill. Well, you start going up and adding 6.5 inches for a revolution, and you start shrinking the hole by let's just say 8%. Well, you start losing 24% of the hole. It's not that far past the hole,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So it kind of puts it in context a little bit when you're putting a 10-footer and you're like, oh, it's uphill. I'm just going to hit it harder. Well, that's okay. That doesn't make sense to me because I mean, why do you want to shrink the hole?
Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
Well, let's just
Mm.
have good speed.
Consistent
Like
speed.
right. We're always putting the ball. Let's just call it. Well, we're always putting the ball 4 inches by the hole.
Yep.
Hmm.
Right. So it's enough to get there, but it's enough to stop right next to the hole.
Right. So if you miss, then you don't got anything coming back. That's tough.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it's just
Just give up
yeah,
strokes. Yeah.
it's just easy, right? I mean, so when we hang up, just when you're laying in bed tonight, just start thinking about the last couple of times you played and how many 3 putts you had, and then you start deducting those strokes, right? Or the double chips. I'm
Right.
not saying TC Chin. I'm talking about you got a chip, and then your next shot is another chip.
Hmm. Right. Hmm.
Okay. and then how many doubles you make from the double chip, right? So let's just say we're short sighted. We got to hit this flop over a bunker to a tuck pin. Well, if you would have just aimed away from that pin just a little bit, I mean, I'm talking 10 feet, gave yourself a manageable look, right? And you just got it on the green instead of going for the hero shot and then you blade it. Now you're chipping again. And then you don't chip that one but the 10 feet and you miss that. And now you make double versus, hey, look, I'm just going to aim a little bit more over here to this fat side and I'm going to make sure I get this ball on the green. So I'm not going to hit this mega Phil Mickelson flop. I'm just going to hit this mid trajectory and I've got, 10, 15 feet for par. The worst I'm going to make is bogey. When you start adding all those shots up as an 8 to 10 handicap, well, then
Yeah.
now you're a 5.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You eliminate the 3 putts, you eliminate the double chips.
I'm
It's
in.
pretty
Let's go.
easy. Like
Let's
if
go
you start
practice right
adding,
now.
Like
but
if you
if you
start,
start adding all those up,
it's
like
a lot of strokes. Yeah. Mm.
no, yeah. I mean, so how many rounds of golf do you play a year?
Probably now. I mean, the last few years it was like every week like 2 years ago, and then it was like every other week, and now I'm like once a month.
Okay,
Which
so you've gone from the ballpark of 50 rounds to like 14,
right.
15.
Mm.
Okay. All right. So if we eliminated, you could 3 putt once every 3 rounds, right? It's not that big of an ask, but you get a 3 putt once every 3 rounds. So every 54 holes, you get a 3 putt,
Hmm.
and you just don't ever double chip. So when you're in a bad spot in the rough, you just take your medicine and go, I shouldn't have hit it here. I'm just going to hit it over here, and I'm going to have 25 feet, and the worst I'm going to make is bogey
Hmm.
because I'm in a bad spot,
Right.
right? Just call uncle and go, man,
Just
you
That's
start
my
adding.
accept that you're in a bad spot, and then
yeah.
don't try to
See, that's
like.
that's my problem because Mark knows I'm a pretty good putter, and I may 3 putt once around if that, but I'm not trying to hit the hero shot, and I feel like I have a good enough short game to hit those shots. But sometimes I get too cute with it, and then I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I chunk one, or I'm like, oh, why did I hit this club? I should have, instead of just hitting into the fat side of the green, leave myself 15, 25 feet and then making a bogey as opposed to a double.
Yeah, I mean, it's, what we compare ourselves to is unobtainable, right? So we watch these guys on TV,
Hmm.
right? And subconsciously we go, oh, well, they did it. Well, we should be able to do it. Well, I mean, okay, but we're comparing ourselves to Michael Jordan if we went and played a pickup game of basketball. Like, because I mean, that's literally what we are doing as golfers,
Hmm.
right? They're not televising us three on the golf channel.
Right.
Right? Does that make sense? So then the comparison is the best players on God's green earth doing what they are great at doing. And yes, Scotty Scheffler can hit some amazing chip shots. We cannot. So I'm not saying don't try to get better at your short game, but
Yeah.
man, I mean, know when to say when,
Yeah.
Right.
right? I mean, it's like
Hmm.
giving your car keys up when you've had too much to drink, right?
Same
Know
thing.
when to say when and just go, I'm just going to hit it over here. And I'm not, I don't 3 putt because my speed's good and try to make the par putt. And if you don't make it, you tap it in for bogey and you live to fight another day,
Hmm.
right?
Just
Because a
like keep fighting. Yeah.
5 beats a 6,
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
I love
Love
it.
it.
And so it's just the little things. And so the hard part of it is being disciplined. When we hang up the phone and y'all go, let's say y'all go play Saturday and y'all got this mindset and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, whatever, but it's being disciplined over a year's time of looking at the stats and go, holy cow, I've cut all my 3 putts almost, out. I'm not trying to, chip it to a foot anymore from a dead spot. And I'm crying uncle when I need to, and I'm just not going to make double bogeys. right? You add up all that and your handicap drops.
Mhm.
If you go put a 68 in, right, Saturday, it's not going to move the needle on your handicap. But if you go put a whole bunch of 74s in, it moves the needle,
Yep.
Mhm. Right.
right?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I think that'll be the thing for me is like, because the last time we talked, I feel like I was disciplined for about 6 months, and then you kind of get back in that trend of like, okay, now you're playing a little bit better golf, and then you start trying to do a little bit too
expect
much, right?
expectations. And look, we get it. I mean, we're golf fans, right? That's why we're on this podcast. And we want to watch, Rory hit a 360-yard drive over a dog leg that 99.9% of the golfing population has no understanding how good that is. Right. And then people just don't understand when Scotty Scheffler pulls out an 8-iron and hits it on a tabletop to a back left pin. We don't have the business of even trying to attempt that golf shot, but we
Mhm.
see it and we go, I could do that.
Right.
No, you can't. You can't. And you can do it once out of 10 times, but you're going to fail miserably the 9 other times you try to do that.
Right.
So just be you, be who you are, right? And just try to get better every single day.
Love it.
And quit
Love it.
comparing yourself to people that are so much better than we are. It's ridiculous.
We ever could
Play
imagine.
play within your game. Don't try
Exactly.
to be
Yeah,
somebody else.
that's right. Be where your feet are.
And get up
That's
and
right.
down, right?
That's right. Get up and down.
That's right. Don't double chip. Quit three putting and don't double chip.
The
And
gospel from
look,
John. I love it.
yeah, and y'all send me some video. We got to figure out the T-ball. The T-ball's got to go in the fairway.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, John.
We'll get it.
We'll
We'll get
get
you
it,
some
brother.
video here soon.
Hey man, we love
Awesome.
it, man. The first 4-time guest, dude. I love it.
That's right.
Winning,
The pride of
winning.
Mississippi, man.
Yeah, y'all had to go way down on the list for tonight, but that's okay.
No, it's not down the list, man. You're top.
Oh, I don't know.
We
I
appreciate
don't
you, brother,
know.
man.
Absolutely. Well, look, anything I can do to help you guys out, just reach out, okay?
Sounds
All
good,
right,
man.
John.
We'll make a
Appreciate
trip
it.
down there at some point, brother.
Y'all come see us. You can stay with me. We'll go play. It'll be a great however many days y'all can make it. So,
Let's
I'm
do
in.
it.
Let's
Golfing
go.
and fishing. I love it.
we'll definitely take the boat out and go fishing.
Hell yeah, brother. You
All
take it
right.
easy,
See you
man.
guys.
Thanks,
All right,
John.
I'll talk to you
Appreciate it.
soon, man.
All right.
Later.
Later.